The tiger's chest rose and fell with a rhythm so shallow it seemed fragile against the weight of the approaching night. Its amber eyes flickered open briefly, catching the last glimmers of sunlight, before half-closing in weary surrender. Each movement was deliberate yet pained. A subtle shift of its head, the gentle flex of a paw, the flick of its tail over the damp grass. The wound along its foreleg had already begun to clot, but the rangers could see the swelling that spoke of infection and strain. "Stay with us," one murmured, voice barely more than the brush of wind through leaves. The tiger's ears twitched, a flicker of comprehension, a silent acknowledgement that danger was near but not imminent. Nearby, the river whispered along its banks, the water moving in smooth, liquid lines that mirrored the tiger's labored breathing. Small insects skimmed the surface, and a heron rose in the distance with a slow, deliberate flap, disturbing nothing but the pattern of shadows. The tiger's head rested momentarily on its forepaws, jaw slack with exhaustion, and its tail curled slightly around its haunches, the faintest sign of self-protection. The rangers adjusted their positions, moving in concert without startling the fragile giant, their hands brushing against the soil as if to anchor themselves to the steady heartbeat of the forest floor. Time passed quietly, measured in shallow breaths and the rhythm of insects. The tiger's body shivered occasionally, a reflexive response to pain and cold creeping in with the evening. Its eyes opened wider once, observing a rustle in the undergrowth, a small deer stepping cautiously from the shadows, then retreating when it sensed the tense calm. The tiger's attention wavered but did not rise. Trust had not yet been broken, and the presence of the humans remained a soft, constant reassurance. As twilight deepened, the rangers worked slowly, carefully examining the leg, cleaning the wound with gentle hands and the softest touch. The tiger flinched at first but eventually settled, settling more fully into the earth, accepting the quiet ministrations as necessary. Every slight movement, the lift of a shoulder, a flick of the ear, spoke volumes about pain endured and resilience yet to come. The rangers exchanged few words, their tones low and deliberate, in harmony with the soft, suffused light filtering through the canopy. Night fell fully and the forest exhaled, the river murmuring alongside the settling shadows. The tiger's breathing remained shallow but steady, each rise and fall a fragile thread of life amidst the looming darkness. Its amber eyes closed briefly, resting yet alert to the pulse of life around it. One ranger leaned closer, voice a breathy whisper, "Almost there, hold on." The tiger shifted slightly, a subtle sign of endurance, a quiet acknowledgement that it had survived the day's trials. In the dimming light, the silhouette of the tiger merged with the riverbank, stripes blending with shadows, a testament to survival, patience, and the fragile trust between human and wild. The tiger's breathing began to steady, each rise and fall more deliberate, less strained than before. Its amber eyes followed the rangers with a quiet intensity, tracking their hands as they worked with care over the mottled fur and tender flesh. Every subtle gesture, a twitch of the ear, a half lift of the head, a soft hum vibrating through its throat, hinted at a growing awareness that danger had lessened, that these humans moved with purpose rather than threat. The rangers responded with the same deliberate calm, their hands brushing lightly, adjusting the bandages without sudden movements, their whispers harmonizing with the night air. The wound, swollen and tender, demanded patience. Each application of salve, each layer of cloth, was done slowly, allowing the tiger to acclimate to touch. It flinched at first, muscles coiling in reflex, but gradually relaxed, leaning slightly into the pressure rather than away from it. Its tail swished once or twice against the mossy floor, tentative yet deliberate, signaling a subtle communication with the caretakers. One ranger's soft murmur, "You're almost there," was met not with fear but a low, approving rumble vibrating through the tiger's chest like a heartbeat in sync with the forest. Around them, the jungle settled into a nocturnal rhythm. Leaves rustled in the gentle wind, insects chirped in a constant symphony, and the river lapped quietly against its banks, its surface catching glimmers of moonlight. The tiger's ears rotated toward each sound, alert yet unafraid, and it sniffed the air delicately, gauging the human's intentions as much as the environment. With each measured inhale and exhale, its chest lifted more fully, a subtle sign of regained vitality. Moments stretched quietly, punctuated by small, telling gestures. A blink held longer, a paw flexing slowly, a soft exhalation that seemed to carry tension away. The rangers adjusted their positions with deliberate slowness, mindful of shadows and light, ensuring the tiger's comfort with every movement. The hum in the tiger's throat grew steadier, resonant, almost a melody of recognition and acceptance. It shifted its weight again, gingerly testing the strength in its injured leg, each movement measured, careful, a silent acknowledgement of healing and trust. As night deepened, the forest wrapped them in quiet intimacy. The tiger's head rose higher, eyes following the rangers, tail curling lightly against its flanks. A faint ripple passed through its muscles as if stretching the limits of its renewed strength. For the first time since its collapse, it seemed to breathe with a sense of possibility, the tension in its body softening. The rangers remained still, hands resting on knees, observing rather than forcing, allowing the fragile bond to grow naturally. The soft river whisper, the subtle rustle of leaves, and the tiger's quiet hum together marked a fragile, luminous moment. A slow, emerging connection between human patience and wild resilience. The tiger shivered as the first rays of sunlight pierced the canopy, its chest heaving with effort that betrayed lingering weakness. Its eyes, half-lidded, flicked constantly toward the rustling beyond the circle of rangers, every subtle movement in the undergrowth drawing cautious attention. The wound had begun to show early signs of infection. Edges reddened, and faint warmth radiated from beneath the carefully applied dressing. Small grains of earth, unavoidable despite careful cleaning, clung stubbornly to the fur and raw skin, sending subtle tremors through the animal's tense muscles. The rangers remained deliberate and silent, observing every nuanced signal, the twitch of a whisker, a soft exhalation, the faint shift of a paw. Their hands moved slowly over the tiger's body, rechecking bandages, applying gentle pressure where swelling demanded care, cleaning with quiet, methodical attention. One whispered softly, "Hold on, we're with you," the words weaving a thread of calm through the forest's subtle tension. Even with human presence, the wilderness pressed near, distant growls resonated faintly from the shadows, and the brush rustled with hints of prowling predators, reminders that life here teetered between survival and danger. The tiger let out occasional low hums, barely more than breaths, pressing lightly against the hands that tended to it, a fragile acknowledgement of care. Its amber eyes, when lifted, carried both caution and an emerging trust, following the slow movements of the rangers while keeping an alert watch on the unseen threats. The muscles along its shoulders twitched, a mixture of pain, effort, and determination, each movement a testament to both fragility and strength. Even in weakness, the tiger's form remained imposing, yet the raw vulnerability of its situation was impossible to ignore, a living pulse on the edge of life, tethered to both instinct and the human's measured touch. Time passed in careful increments, the forest alive with sound yet subdued in the early morning light. Leaves trembled in soft gusts, the river whispered over stones, and distant calls of birds punctuated the air. The tiger shifted slowly, testing its injured paw, flexing cautiously, the tiniest flick of the tail signaling subtle reassurance that it could bear the contact in the presence of watchers. Each gesture, minute and deliberate, was a dialogue without words, a negotiation of survival and connection, as vital as the air filling the lungs of both predator and human alike. By mid-morning, the sun spilled golden light across the clearing, illuminating the mottled stripes damp with dew and care. The tiger's breathing stabilized incrementally, chest rising more evenly, though every movement remained careful, measured. The rangers adjusted their positions with soft movements, exchanging no more than whispers, their presence a silent scaffolding of support around the fragile form. Around them, the forest remained indifferent yet watchful, alive with possibility and peril, a reminder that each heartbeat was both precarious and precious. The tiger exhaled slowly, a soft hum vibrating through its chest, leaning slightly into the hands that tended it, a quiet symbol of trust forged in the raw edges of vulnerability. The tiger's first full rise was careful, deliberate, each movement measured as if testing the limits of its own strength. Its head lifted fully, amber eyes scanning the rangers and the surrounding clearing with a calm alertness, no longer clouded by exhaustion or fear. Muscles along its flanks flexed with newfound control, tremors fading into steady, purposeful motion. Its tail shifted slowly, curling and flicking in subtle acknowledgement of the humans who had tended it, a quiet signal of trust and recognition. Each attempt to stand brought brief wobbles, yet the tiger persisted, lowering itself gently, then pushing up again, testing the injured leg with patience. The rangers remained motionless nearby, voices soft and unobtrusive, hands hovering rather than touching, allowing the animal to navigate its regained strength. One whispered, "That's it, take your time," and the tiger's low rumble responded almost conversationally, a vibration of acknowledgement and tentative connection. Its movements carried a fragile elegance, a balance between instinctive caution and emerging confidence. Around the clearing, life responded in subtle ways. A pair of hornbills descended, their wings brushing the air with soft thuds. A light breeze carried the scent of damp moss and flowering shrubs, mingling with the river's faint perfume. The tiger sniffed each element deliberately, nostrils flaring as it reacquainted itself with the forest. Its gaze lingered on familiar trees and distant undergrowth, a silent reclaiming of territory paused only by illness. Each step forward, each sniff, each blink carried the unspoken language of recovery and renewed awareness. The sun cast long golden beams through the canopy, illuminating the tiger's stripes in streaks of amber and black. Its coat, once dulled by dust and grime, now bore the sheen of returning vitality. Muscles rolled beneath the surface as it shifted from paw to paw, testing weight and balance, a delicate dance of strength regained. The rangers observed quietly, their presence steady and unintrusive, a mirror of the patient care that had brought this moment to life. As evening approached, the tiger stretched fully, a deep, deliberate motion that carried both relief and newfound confidence. Its head tilted slightly toward the humans, eyes soft but attentive, tail curling once in measured acknowledgement. The clearing, alive with returning bird calls and the rustle of leaves, seemed to exhale alongside the tiger, marking the turning point from fragility to cautious resilience. In that quiet, golden light, the tiger's first full movement became more than a physical triumph. It was a subtle, emotional reclaiming of life, a bridge from pain toward survival, trust, and the promise of freedom. The tiger moved with a fluid grace, each step measured and confident, muscles flowing beneath the sleek, recovering coat. Its injured leg bore weight without hesitation, the scar now hidden beneath fur and strength. The rangers remained still, silent witnesses to a transformation wrought not only by care but by the tiger's own resilience. Every cautious glance, every careful placement of paw, was a quiet assertion of regained freedom, and yet there lingered a bond, subtle and unspoken, between human patience and wild endurance. At the riverbank, the tiger paused, amber eyes catching the fading light, reflecting both strength and awareness. It turned slowly toward the rangers, head lifted slightly, ears angled in a gesture of recognition. There was no need for sound. The gesture alone spoke volumes, a momentary acknowledgement of hands that had healed, of quiet voices that had offered reassurance, of a shared passage through fragility into vitality. Then, with a soft, deliberate shift, it stepped forward, powerful limbs carrying it away from the clearing, stripes merging with shadow, each movement a testament to survival. The forest seemed to breathe in response, leaves stirring gently, the distant call of a hornbill echoing through the trees. The river rippled, catching glimmers of amber and gold as the tiger's reflection dissolved into the moving water. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, dusting the forest floor with long, warm streaks, illuminating the path the tiger had reclaimed as its own. Each rustle, each quiet sound seemed to mark its passage, a subtle choreography of life resuming, independent yet connected to the hands that had guided it back from peril. The rangers lingered for a moment longer, absorbing the quiet poetry of the scene. They watched as the tiger's form disappeared into denser foliage, the forest embracing its presence with the gentle inevitability of nature. A soft breeze carried the scent of wet earth and blooming flowers, mingling with the fading warmth of the sun. In that serene space, time seemed to stretch, holding the memory of trust and survival, of patience and quiet courage, suspended like a delicate thread between human and wild. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of gold and amber, the clearing fell into a calm hush. Shadows lengthened, mingling with the faint glow of twilight, and the gentle murmur of the river accompanied the final echoes of the tiger's passage. The rangers turned slowly, hearts carrying the weight of what they had witnessed. A story of life reclaimed, of vulnerability met with care, and of a fleeting yet profound connection that would linger long after the tiger had vanished into the forest's embrace.